Hey y'all, it's Linda, and today we're going to take a look at what is growing veggie-wise around here on my quirky quarter acre. These are Uzbek golden carrots, this year's crop. You saw in the What's Blooming video the last year's carrots, and these are probably about as big around as my finger right now, but they're not quite ready to harvest yet. This is the dinosaur kale that did not bolt. And yeah, I've got some bug damage going on there, but it was still growing. It hadn't bolted, so I left it, and I will eventually pull all of that out and see what is harvestable there. I don't think I really have anything left that I need to make room for at the moment, although I could plant some more bush beans in that spot if I decided to do that. There are the loofah vines. I have made them a trellis structure out of bamboo that is pretty tall. My dad brought me some bamboo that was, I don't know, 20 feet long. And yeah, I just put it up there, and I see that my top has come undone. Oh boy. Cherokee tan butternut crosses finally starting to take off. They were looking pretty puny there for a while. Okra, which in my opinion should be a lot taller by now, but it has been so cool and okra likes the heat. Bush beans, well, those are I have lima beans down on this end. Wax beans, those are wax beans. And then over there are the pumpkins. I planted some sunflowers in between the tomatoes. In the What's Blooming video, you saw the gourds, which are down here at the end of this trellis. And along the rest of it, on both sides, I have the tomato plants. This year I have Abe Lincoln, Early Girl, Black Krim, Dr. Witchy, nobody knows how to pronounce that, and something pink, pink something. German pink, that's it, German pink. And I do have a few blooms forming on the tomatoes, but no tomatoes yet. Here are the cucumbers. They are finally starting to take off also. I do have a bloom or two in there, but they're still pretty small. It's just been a really strange year. Everything seems to be just sort of staying one size, and it's not really growing that much except for the tomatoes and the beans. I can't see a lot of growth in any of the viney things, really. It's kind of strange. Here's the bean row. I have lots and lots of beans planted through here. I have several different kinds. I have the red noodle, the yardline beans that I liked so much last year. I have a Christmas lima. I have a black jungle lima that my friend Kathy at Living Miracle Homestead gave me. I have 3 or 4 Blue Lakes down here on this end. I just, for some reason, I had those seeds left over. I'm not sure why, that I only saved 3 or 4, but I just went ahead and stuck them in the ground. They're a little smaller on this side, but some of them are starting to go up the trellis, and I'm looking forward to those. I think these down here are the Christmas limas. Honestly, I'd have to look at the map to say for sure, but I think that's what's down here on this end. And then, oh, and I have the 1,500-year-old cave beans. Yeah, I planted like 6 feet of row for 6 or 7 different kinds of beans, so yeah. The peas on this end are dying off. They were the snow peas, and so they don't like very warm temperatures at all, but those are kind of in the shade, so they may be lasting longer because of that. Those are also the sugar snap peas, and I've been picking those pretty much every day, every other day, and we have eaten quite a few. And as I said in the What's Bloomin' video, I am leaving the majority of those now for seeds, and when they die off I will pull them out and put something else there. After I pulled out the peas on this side, on this end, I put in the walking stick kale. Got those seeds from Baker Creek. We'll see how those do and whether or not they turn into anything. I have not tasted it yet, so if it doesn't taste good and it doesn't make the walking sticks, then I won't worry about trying to get it to bloom and save any seeds or anything. But if they do well, then I will definitely want to save some seeds from those. I did get the peppers in the ground. I put down a fresh weed barrier this year. It had one, but I just wanted to keep it clean. The weeds are starting to come through and everything. And so I put a new one down here, and you can see that plants are doing okay. A couple of them are getting to be a fair size, but again, it really hasn't been hot enough for these plants that like the heat to really take off, so we may have a later than usual pepper harvest too. The ground cherries are doing well. I was worried about them too. They just sat there and sat there and sat there and were tiny, tiny. I mean, they were tiny for the longest time, and then finally they started to take off and bush out. And then down here, see this plant right here? Looks a lot like the ground cherry. Looks almost identical, in fact, but that's not a ground cherry. I didn't plant that there. And it is either a volunteer tomatillo, as are these here, or it's a very closely related weed. I'm going to leave them for a little while. And if they make a few tomatillos, okay. If they look like they're not going to do anything, I'll pull them out. But I am excited to try the ground cherries because I've never had those that I can recall. And then, of course, my beloved squash patch. These are moringa? Big old winter squash? No. These are cushaws. Those are moringas. And I didn't plant very many in through here because they should vine and pretty much cover the whole area. Here you can see those are starting to vine out a little bit, and I'll try and keep them confined to the edge. If I have to turn them around and bring them back this way, I will, but yeah, and those are some that I've never grown before, but I'm excited about it. I do want to have one good winter squash that I can grow consistently, and as much as I love those Cherokee Tan Butternut crosses, I don't know whether those seeds that I saved last year are going to produce the same kind of fruit or not. If they do, great, then I'll keep saving them and probably keep growing them. But I want to have a backup just in case. And I do like to have a variety, even if, according to some people, all squash tastes the same. I do not agree. And up there, I have my lemon squash, the lemon squash plants. And I also, up on this end, I had a yellow crookneck and a lemon squash that I left for seed and saved the seeds, and they may have been cross-pollinated with each other. So I planted those up toward the front there so that I can see what kind of fruit I get. And then these are the lemon squash from the seed that I know are lemon squash. Got a volunteer sunflower here under the heartnut tree. These were the squash plants that I transplanted. I started those seeds inside. Well, these were some that I planted. I planted the seeds directly out here, and I can see I have weeds again. This landscape fabric is pretty thin. I'm glad I bought more and got the better stuff. And this is the second year it's been down here, so ideally what I'd like to do is take it up and till everything if I could be relatively certain that it would be in a nice in-ground garden without a lot of grass creeping back in, because you know this was the yard just 2 years ago. Over there I have my zucchini. I think those are the Gold Rush, which are the yellow zucchini. And those are a winter squash, I think Small Wonder, or they might be the spaghetti squash. I'm not sure, honestly. I really have forgotten. I've just kind of been putting things in as I can. Like I said, it has rained so much. It's been hard to get down here and do much of anything. So, and over there are the last two jelly melon plants, the Kiwano that I tried to grow last year and they didn't do well, and I had, I don't know, 4 or 5 seeds left in the pack, so I thought I would try it again, and I will plant them up here in the main garden instead of down there in the pumpkin patch where it stays so wet, and see if they do better up here, because I didn't ever get to taste one last year and I really wanted to. And of course, if they do well and I do get to taste them and I do get to save seeds, that'd be great if I like them. And if they don't, well, I don't think I would buy seeds to try them again. And here comes the supervisor to inspect things. It's pretty good organic pest control too. There's more purple basil. See it right there? It's everywhere. And we'll take a quick look at the raised bed before we wrap this up. The strawberries did well. We got quite a few, and the plants have grown a lot bigger, and they're making runners. So I'm going to encourage them to move on over into this next bed. These are just kind of some hodgepodge leftover. I'm not sure where to put things, so I'll just stick them in here kind of stuff. I've got, let's see, this is the red Russian kale, which I have not actually tasted yet. Not bad. Here's a strawberry runner, and it's already made roots right there, so that's fine. And then over here I have some Tom Thumb lettuce, which is pretty tasty. Although I think if I was going to grow that again, I would probably put it in a pot. I have some radishes, some kind of white radish, which is getting ready to bolt. I see the seed head starting their blooms. These are sunflowers. And there's a maple tree that needs to come out. And I think that's about it. I did have a plan for this bed, but for whatever reason it didn't work, so I just kind of ended up sticking the leftovers in the, oh gee, what am I going to do with this kind of thing. In the third section we have all that mustard that is now blooming. I have put up some of this in the freezer, and I'll probably take those big leaves, those bigger leaves down on the bottom, and blanch them and stick them in the freezer too, or just steam them and we'll eat them for dinner one night. This section has the beets and those cabbage plants, and I planted some calendula in there too to try and bring in the pollinators for the rest of the things, but they're not very big yet, and all these other flowers are bringing in a lot of the little pollinators, the little flies and bees and things. Here is my corn. I actually got good germination on the corn this time. I had originally planned to put it in the in-ground section, but I knew I needed to put it in square plot, and so I thought I'll just put as many seeds as I can get in here, and you know, if I thin it out as it gets a little bigger, I'll do that, but I think this way, having them close together, they make it better pollination and therefore better ears. So this is actually a blue corn, that the kind that they use to make like the blue tortilla chips and blue cornmeal out of. And this bed is kind of also a hodgepodge. That big cabbage plant that you see there is actually from last fall. It never did grow much, and it's not making a head, and I expect it would probably bolt because it's going to get pretty hot. But I kind of feel like I'm wasting this space because things aren't growing very fast. But there are kohlrabi in there, and y'all, I love my kohlrabi, but I don't know, I just haven't been able to grow them very well. So I'm really hoping that these guys will eventually take off. I'm not sure why. You know, because they're a cool weather crop. I'm not sure why they're not growing, and I haven't bothered to thin them because not really one seems to be doing that much better than the other, and I'm not sure that if I thin them it'll make any difference. And then over on the back side is where I have some onions, and I had some onions in here last year and they did grow, but they were super slow. Like, I planted them in the early spring and they didn't start doing anything until like September. So yeah, I don't know, maybe growing onions is not my forte. And this guy is becoming my shadow. He likes to follow me around everywhere. I'm not sure if he likes me that much or if he's just keeping tabs on me to make sure that I'm around to bring him more food. It is a sad fact, though, that stray cats tend to be very food driven, and he is. I hope he'll get over that someday, but maybe not. We have no idea how long he was a stray. The vet said that he thought he was around 3 years old. But of course we have no way of knowing, and we have no idea how he got here, but he's welcome to stay now. Okay, these last three sections, as I showed you in the What's Blooming, the carrots from last year are all still, the deer actually came in and ate the tops out of a whole lot on that side, and so I just pulled them out, and the roots weren't fit to eat, so I didn't bother with them. I just threw them in the compost. This bed is where the dill and the borage and the cilantro was planted, and then on the end there I stuck a couple of Cherokee Tan butternut cross plants in there, just to see what they do, because I don't know, that bed there on that end really isn't working out. It gets too many weeds and not enough sun, so I may have to think about shifting that somewhere. Got another sunflower getting ready to bloom back here. And on the other side of me, I got supervisors all over the place. Well, that's the garden update for the first week of June 2021. I'm looking forward to having some good things to eat pretty soon, I hope. And if it ever stops raining and I can get these weeds under control, maybe things will finally take off and do better than I expect. We'll see. Anyway, thanks for watching. This is Linda signing off from my quirky quarter acre.